Why is it that as a society we feel the need to commodify everything? If you're good at art, you should sell it. If you want to learn about plants, you should sell that knowledge. You should create a course. Like everything in our external reality is promoting us to sell sell our knowledge, our self, sell our time. It's all about just like making a profit on the things that we know how to do or how we think. And I find that a very interesting world that I have never personally felt like I can resonate with. I over the past, let's see, I actually just got to like almost 100, I think I'm almost at like 150 days in a row of meditating for anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes in the morning, right when I wake up. And on top of that, it's given me the momentum to want to do longer meditations. I have like a whole catalog of like recorded meditations, and I've gone back to meditations that I used to do all the time, and I have books where it's like different meditations. I have a book about meditations with different animals and what we can learn from those animals, and that always really resonates with me. I resonate a lot with animals and the earth and the plants. And something that I've come to feel this week specifically is like, as an artist, I've been an artist my whole life, but like professionally, I've been trying to make it my thing for about the last 10 years. I started my art business in 2015, and it's 2025. Um, I think that now when people say like, "Oh, like what kind of art have you been making? Like what have you been doing?" And I my main answer has been like, my art is my meditation practice right now. And most people think that they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Um but I think, some people get it, or they think, oh, that's good. I know that that is like a healthy thing. Good for you, which is still good. But I think I'm in a moment where I do still feel the need to output creatively, and I am doing that. It's just that my output has gone way down, and my like I guess meditation could be considered an input. My focus on like learning about lucid dreamings, my like deep diving into philosophies, and like reading about myths and legends and ancient civilizations, like all of that stuff is really fascinating to me right now, and I'm kind of just rolling with it. And I think I'm having a moment where I feel like I'm not contributing as I always have with my art. I've never felt like I was contributing to community, um, in the sense that, yeah, like making art, it always felt very like selfish to be making art. It felt very, it feels quite like, um, not necessarily like just about me, but it's like, it feels very like, it felt, I'm like having a hard time expressing this, but um, it just doesn't feel like I'm contributing in a way that, like a doctor, or like comparing an artist to a doctor is kind of an interesting dichotomy, but it just hasn't ever felt like I was contributing in the way that I felt like I should be. And of course, that is like mostly from external circumstances, right? But it's like truly like, what does someone who is immersed in their art or immersed in their internal world and in meditation, like what are they actually contributing to society? And I think for me, it always came down to like, I don't know, I'm just trying to survive, and I know that I'm good at art, and I know that I'm not great at like working a stressful job. Like, I guess I'll just keep, like I was like, being an artist is a dream. Like, being able to make a living on doing art, it's a dream, right? But it's actually like super stressful. And I don't know, it's just like, I never saw my art as a contribution to society. And I know that there's the concept of like, which most artists try to follow, is like, your art can add to somebody else's life with like emotion or joy. Like every time they drink from their coffee mug every morning, like they think of the artist and they really enjoy the cup, and then they like start their day off enjoying something. And I find that to be super valuable. Um, but that came at a little bit of like give and take from me, in the sense that like I knew that I wanted to promote, like provide art for people that they could enjoy, but in that it needed to have this functional quality. They needed to be able to use it. I obviously have art everywhere in my house, but and I appreciate it, but it's just like I never thought that my art was doing that. Um, and now I'm kind of in a similar place in the transition between really being like expressive with my art and almost like having this like compulsion to make. And now I'm kind of in this moment of like, I almost, not that I don't want to make anything, like I am making things, it's just slow. But now I'm in this moment of like, I'll sit down to meditate and I'll meditate for 45 minutes and I'll have like an experience. And I don't know what the benefit of that is. Like, messages and such are important to me, but I feel like I'm not serving anyone in that experience and in that deep dive. And so I think this week I'm going to focus on like researching, or like, I think maybe it comes down to the fact that I don't really have anyone in my life that has a serious meditation practice like that. And so I don't really have anyone to like ask these questions. Um, but I definitely want to research in some capacity, like, or talk to people who do have a meditation practice. So if you do have a meditation practice, please reach out. I'd love to chat. Um, but I think, and maybe it comes down to the fact that people don't feel like they have time for meditation, or they don't, it's kind of like, ugh, mental health, like they kind of have that not really caring, I guess, kind of feelings towards it. But it's like, okay, so if I am meditating for, let's say, an hour a day, like, how is that benefiting others? I guess I could consider myself to be like more patient. Um, I have a lot more compassion for other people. I'm able to like um, see other people's habits and behaviors as like, I'm not like taking anything personally, because I'm able to like see their actions as their actions, and not a reflection of me at all. And I think that that's really beneficial, but it still feels quite selfish, because it's like, what's the point of having compassion for others if I'm not like is that contributing to society? I maybe, and like there are like, of course, like um I guess monks who would meditate like all day every day. um and I guess that relates to like raising the vibration of the planet and just like sending love to more and more and more people. And I guess I do see the benefit in that. But it's interesting because I was asking someone if it was like a worthwhile path to pursue, um, meditating often every day. And I just like feel like that's all I want to do. I just want to like be in my house, be in my sanctuary, and like be in this like meditative state. And I know that that could be considered escapism, but I do feel like I personally am benefiting a lot from it. Um, I feel like my relationships with other people are, um, a lot healthier than they ever have been, um, which is great for me and my close relations, but I still don't feel like I'm serving. And I feel like maybe that's just like the Aquarius in me, that I'm like, I must be serving at all times. Um, I want to benefit other people. I want to help other people. And I don't know, maybe this is how I feel like I'm contributing is I sit in meditation for a week and then figure out what I have to say and share it. And yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but I think like the main thing is like I was asking somebody if this was like a worthwhile thing to pursue, and it's like I don't want to do like I don't want to sell anything anymore. Like I don't want to sell my art. I don't want to like commodify anything that I'm doing with my life. Like I just don't want to commodify anything. And um, they were like, well, yeah, like you could take time, like study the things that you're studying, like you could have like courses that talk about the blah blah blah. And like I'm like, that is still commodifying. Like even if I take a year to meditate every day and do these deep dives, and maybe I write meditations and I record meditations and I keep up with these videos, it still feels, I don't know, it feels like commodifying. But I guess if I recorded meditations and others enjoyed them, then it would feel less. Yeah, I don't know. Something to dive into for myself. But um I think there's a couple of things. I feel like I want to make sure that my meditation practice isn't, escapism, right? Like, which I don't feel like it is for myself. Um, but it could be. It could be. I could see it being that for people. I feel like the reason that it's not that for me is because I am intensely and have been intensely working on, um, living in the present moment and, um, quite literally like being aware for like whatever comes next. Let's see how I can meet that moment. And every like every moment of the day, I'm just like sitting with myself. How am I feeling about that? Oh, that's kind of irritating me. I'm gonna just kind of like, right, like I'm having these moments where I have to like come back to myself and sit with an emotion and then like progress through that. And I think that all of this is beneficial, but it feels like it's only benefiting me. Um, so I feel like it's not enough, you know? Like I was having a somebody asked me, um, like, if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And I didn't have an answer, but their answer was, um, like I would be able to heal myself. And I feel like that is heartbreaking a little bit, in a couple ways, because it's like the damage and the hurt you must feel for that to be what you want is incredibly heartbreaking. Um, and also, on like the flip side of that, um, like I saw in the moment that as such a selfish act because it's like if you could have a superpower, say, and like that superpower could potentially like save people or help people and and you just want to heal yourself and be able to like heal yourself, like it feels very selfish, which is interesting because that's kind of what I'm talking about today with meditation. Is like if I could have a superpower, whatever, if I could practice meditation and feel safer and happier and more compassionate to the people that I interact with, um, like how is that actually helping anyone else, right? But I guess maybe this is like me talking to me, like these always are. But and maybe that's like maybe in every interaction that you have with someone, if it's just someone at the grocery store, someone in passing, somebody, you know, it's like we interact with a ton of people every day, passively and actively. And so maybe this act of meditation and compassion is actually benefiting others. Maybe somebody sees how compassionate you are in the moment, or maybe somebody's day is turned around because you were able to compliment them from an authentic place. And I think that's not all like directly related to meditation, but they're all byproducts, right? And so it's like, what is the purpose, right? Um, and maybe it comes down to like the why. And maybe the first year of me getting into like a very serious meditation practice, like I have practiced meditation since I was, I don't know, maybe for like the last 15 years. Um, Sometimes consecutively, and others I go maybe year or two without, right? But I don't know, something about I just like I feel like I want this to be a practice for the rest of my life. And maybe the first year of getting really like heavily back into it, the focus is gonna all just be about self healing and feeling like I'm not doing anything for anyone else. And maybe that's part of the lesson, right? Like, and maybe it comes down to like the why, right? Like, maybe it's continuously coming back to what is the purpose of this? And um, it's like if we are better relating to people that we interact with, like say we're like fighting, we like have like maybe a disagreement, maybe not a fight, but maybe a disagreement, or somebody is maybe irritating us, or there's like an irritating sound, like maybe we are better able to meet the moment in the sense that like we can see more clearly where they are coming from. And it's like holding that paradox and like not taking anything personally, because it's like if somebody is trying to like you can feel somebody trying to actively like push your buttons per se, you're able to not let that affect you because you're stronger in your compassion for that other person, because it's like, I can see that they just want my approval and my attention. Um, so how can I interact in a way where I can give them a little bit of that attention without crossing a personal boundary for yourself, right? And like you're just better able to absorb and interact with the world, which I think is really beneficial. But again, it just feels I'm having a hard time not seeing it as selfish. And maybe that's coming from a place of like I was, you know, as a lot of us are taught from a very young age that like your purpose is to make other people comfortable, happy, etc., right? Like we are here to in the flip side of being of service, like there's people pleasing, right? Like um you're never allowed to have your own needs, wants, and desires. Other people's needs, wants, and desires come before yours. Right? And like, I think a lot of us have that wound, right? Um, and so maybe meditating as a selfish act isn't as selfish as my brain is perceiving it to be. Um, but I, in part of my meditations this week, um, and just like in life, like I'm noticing my ability to ask a question, pull an oracle card or something like that, and like within 24 hours have some kind of affirmation or response. And I just find that to be like really intense. Like, of course, the synchronicity is super cool, but I think for the first time, like in my life, the synchronicities are like actually kind of like making sense, and feel a little bit more clear. And I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I ever will, but I do know that I will be here meditating and feeling my emotions and balancing the head and the heart, as often as I can and as often as I can remember, and having gratitude. And I know that this all sounds so cheesy, but I just want to say after, I guess it's almost been 150 days of meditation, every day, and I'm here to tell you that it is making a profound difference in my life. So maybe it is selfish, but the amount of peace and love and self confidence and growth I have felt in the past 150 days is more growth than I have felt in my entire life. Um, and I know that there is like a lot of like people out there talking about like more and more people are waking up. I have a hard time talking about people waking up and like the Great Awakening without it being hierarchical. I find it to be a very hierarchical um, thing, I guess. But I think I just am at this moment where maybe all of these meditations and all of these messages and information from my like external algorithm, um, I still have a little bit more to do, before I'm able to like meet the other people, right? And like I've been quite alone for, I would say, at least the last 7 or 8 years. Um, and I haven't had a lot of people in my like intimate circle of people, like people that I interact with on this like deeper level. And I think that has created space for me to do the amount of work that I needed to do on myself and feeling worthy and feeling confident and like feeling like I can unmask and be comfortably and confidently myself. Um, but it's been interesting that it seemed like I needed to be alone. About 10 years ago, I had a meditation where I went to a meditation retreat, and the swan was the main symbolism. And there's a Trevor Hall song that I loved that in it, it speaks to like the swan needs to go alone. And then there's like the whole story of the ugly duckling, which is like a little baby swan was surrounded by ducks and didn't realize that the reason that they were ugly was because they were a different bird, a different, you know, a different species of bird. And eventually the swan, you know, but the swan thought that it was ugly and worthless for its whole life until it realized, you know, that it was different. And it was, yeah, so that symbology has been happening, and that happened about 10 years ago. And now I'm getting a ton of swan symbology again. Um, and this time it feels like a closing of a chapter. Like it feels like no one could no one could look at me and make me feel inferior. No one can interact with me in a way that makes me feel almost almost anything, because I have learned to find my own worthiness. I have learned to find my self-confidence. I have learned how to be authentically myself, and it feels like this moment in time and this like quickening of an accelerated like awareness and just like the deepness of how I'm relating to myself is expanding more day by day. And I think a part of that is because I have spent the last 10 years building a foundation of slowly learning how to love myself and be myself and unmask and learn how to be authentically aware and interact with others, that no one could knock me down. Like, I am confident, I am self assured, I am worthy, right? And it's taken my whole life to get there. Um, and maybe that's not selfish to be seeing benefits like that from meditation. So I offer this to you as the ending sentiment, in the sense that if you are feeling lack or scarcity or fear or worthlessness or self conscious, um, take some time to meditate. I know that's like pretty much my whole channel's message, is every solution is just to meditate. And that's not the only solution, but it is the best first place to begin to work on yourself and to feel more connected to yourself, because I do feel like a lot of changes can happen externally when you actually focus on yourself. So, too long didn't watch. Let's see. Meditation can be seen as escapism. Um, I personally see am battling between if it's what is the word? If it's selfish or not to have a meditation practice. Um, it doesn't feel like it's of service to anyone but myself. Um, but I think that there are moments where when we interact with others, we can see that reflection and potentially like put someone else into a place of rethinking that conversation and seeing the compassion in the other person, etc. Um, let's see. Doing things for personal health is beneficial. And there's no need to commodify everything. If you want to meditate, meditate. You don't need to make a course or record a thing. Like, I'm recording a thing because something about this interaction is really healing for me. And I just want to share that. Okay, so last things, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do have a Patreon. I am not posting a ton on it right now. There is a free tier. If you have a Patreon app on your phone, please subscribe. I will be posting a lot more once I kind of get into a rhythm. I have posted a couple meditations that I've recorded, and I want to do more. Eventually, I want to do a full moon and a new moon live stream meditation where we can gather, have a little bit of chit chat, talk about what's going on in our life, and then meditate together as a group virtually. That's kind of the end goal for now, for that. And I hope you have a beautiful week, and I hope that you are able to love yourself a little bit more with each breath that you take. So that's my intention for the week for anyone watching. I hope you have a beautiful week.